Shadow of the Tomb Raider felt like it was a game that was 6 years too late, seeing as it's based on a Mayan apocalypse, which, you know, it's not 2012 anymore, so, late, right? Lara has finally reached her peak, as it would be the only way she can cast a shadow after rising in the previous game. But seriously, Shadow of the Tomb Raider is the best in the series. It has the best gameplay and story, and for once in an action-adventure archaeological game, you don't have an absurd amount of exposition with every part of the game. There was a section where I had to learn the Mayan number system. I didn't even know that shit. It didn't point out how you get a 5, 10, or 15. You have to figure it out yourself. I just wish Lara didn't have to explain to Jonah, who's been around her for years, what procession is. This type of stuff ruins immersion, as it makes sense for Lara to explain it to, say, a person who doesn't know much about history, but to someone who's been around her for years, come on. I don't want to think Jonah is an idiot. We start off with Lara in a tomb. Finally, a game that starts off correctly. It's also a good way of introducing the climbing mechanics, which dominate about 90% of this game. Literally everywhere you go, there's something you can climb. Not to the extent of Assassin's Creed, but it's definitely getting there. After the brief introduction of Lara's tomb raiding business, she goes to a town where she's waiting for one of Trinity's lieutenants, Dr. Dominguez, who's looking for an ancient artifact known as the Silver Box of Ixchel, which has the power of the god of creation Kukulkan, allowing whoever activates it to create their own ideal world. However, it requires another artifact, which is a dagger, the key of Shakshel, and that's the one that Lara manages to find before Dominguez, but her being herself and not thinking fully, she decides to pick it up and gets told basically she started an apocalypse that will completely destroy the world in 7 days unless she finds the silver box. And this is when we find out that Lara must have magical powers. I'm serious, she can survive tsunamis like they're nothing while everyone else around her dies in an instant. At least she actually feels like she has some form of remorse. For the people who aren't affiliated with Trinity, all that care she has for human lives goes out the window when you attach Trinity to their job description. Lara also helps with the rebellion in Peru with the tribal civilization Paititi, which as it turns out is where Dominguez is from. Everything he does is for Paititi, and this is where you go into a moral grey area. Dominguez would do anything including kill whoever gets in his way to create his ideal world for the betterment of Paititi. And we learn that Lara will do the same in order to stop the apocalypse she started. I mean, all you have to do is just look at the moments where she becomes either the Terminator or the Predator. Shadow of the Tomb Raider plays like the other Tomb Raider games, frankly. I honestly can't remember much from the other two games. It's just a blur, so I'll talk about the features in Shadow of the Tomb Raider as if they're new. First off, Lara has her bow, but it's taken a back seat this time. Yes, it's still used for stealth attacks and traversal, but it's a much weaker weapon due to the fact that the majority of what you fight is either wearing body armor, a helmet, or as a Crace Pistachio, which is basically a Mayan zombie person thing. Thankfully, you can obtain more weapons in this title, so your guns have more variety other than generic AK found on the floor from either people who were there before Trinity or Trinity themselves. Just wish Lara would actually pick up guns from dead bodies. Sometimes Trinity guns are better, because they are. You're able to upgrade your weapons as well. The upgrades are pretty bland. It's literally just more damage, accuracy, rate of fire, reload speed. You get the gist. You can get fire and hallucination arrows. Honestly, we can't have something that makes it so the effects of the arrows last longer. Oh wait, that's part of the skill tree because someone thought having a skill for those going against other skills was a good idea. I completely neglected to get those sort of skills because I'd rather get something that's more useful at all times rather than the sub attack from my bow, which I barely use because everything has jacked up health. Something tells me they weren't thinking this through. An interesting thing though is that you can unlock certain skills after completing challenge tombs, which are exactly as they sound. They're tombs that challenge you. Sometimes you have the occasional enemy to kill in them, but for the most part it's a giant puzzle where you have to activate a statue by finding a way to it and use your brain. They're cool to do once or twice, but they're honestly nothing special. Neither are the skills that you unlock by doing them. Recover health faster out of combat, you can climb slightly faster. Who the hell thought these were a good reward? I like that there are different outfits you can obtain. There are two kinds, the first being the overall outfit that gives you no benefits aside from letting you choose how you want Lara to dress and being able to talk to the people of Paititi if you have their outfit equipped. The second is for the upper and lower body, which gives you different benefits depending on which you wear. You get given the Jaguar set early on, which makes it harder for people to see Lara as a threat and makes it so when she runs or lands from a jump, she's not so easily heard. That is the set I mainly used because it was the best for being sneaky in the game. Shadow of the Tomb Raider isn't designed properly for stealth gameplay, it's clunky. Performing a stealth kill in bushes or muddy walls leaves her wide open if a guard turns while the animation is happening. So rather than slowing down the NPC movement off screen or giving Lara invincibility frames, she can literally get killed during the animation from someone off screen. And you can't do the alternative and kill people with the bow because A, they notice it regardless, and B, later in the game you can't use the bow to one-shot enemies. It's obvious that stealth wasn't a top priority. In fact, nothing in this game was a top priority aside from the story and making the game look good. I'll admit, it's a very pretty game, but it's not worth the sacrifice of mechanics, or more accurately, clunky mechanics. To point out a massive gaping hole for Shadow of the Tomb Raider, it's got a very weird way of responding to the inputs. There are times when she jumped off the cliff, I was climbing up because her body was moving left and I decided to press the jump button while I was holding the W key, which makes her go up. Sometimes in cutscenes the audio is a bit off. I say sometimes because there are times when it perfectly lines up with Lara and times where you hear the bullet or arrow hit something near her a little too late after the animation finished. It feels weird. I initially thought it was due to the graphic settings, maybe there was some stress. I turned it down, did the same cutscene, same result. The biggest gripe I have though is the fact it doesn't add anything new, and if it does, because again, the last two games are a blur now, they're not interesting or just there for completionists, which is fine, nothing against that, but at least don't screw up and making it interesting. Stealth sections are some of the worst because of how you get shot during an animation which you can't even look away from. You have to watch the same animations each time. At least the hallucination arrows are around, but you get them so late in the game you're already left with a bad taste in your mouth when it comes to stealth. Sometimes it's just better to get into a gunfight. I know it sounds like I'm mad, which yes, I am, but not because it's a horrible game. I'm mad because I can see where the developers were going with this, it's just they seem to have made it half-assed because they wanted to focus more on story, visuals, and collection. So if you were thinking of getting Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I do recommend it, but only if it was on sale. Not by too much, at least 20% off. I wouldn't buy it full price as it just doesn't offer much aside from the conclusion to the Tomb Raider series and is the best looking, which is a shame because it was enjoyable, but the thought of is that it kept coming back to me. If you enjoyed my review and would like to see more in the future, hit the subscribe button. Also, like and comment, I'm always open to feedback on my reviews. You can also follow me on social media, links are in the description down below.